Good evening, everybody. It's nice to see you here, and what I want to do is to just outline what this week is about, this Jesuit week, this faith fest, this nourishment for the hungry soul, as we have called it. And I want especially to welcome the people who are online, and especially among those who couldn't come because they're sick or ill or whatever else. I was just thinking as I was coming down the chapel that I spent some time in hospital fairly recently, and what I wouldn't have given for something online, don't care what it was, of a spiritual nature which would give me some encouragement to keep going and not to get depressed and so on. So I hope that it is of help to you, and I wish you all well, those who are scattered around the world. I hope that you can enjoy this. So we'll take between now and 8 o'clock just to unfold what this is all about, if that's all right. So we called it Nourishment for a Hungry Heart. I presume that that fills the bill, does it? That your hearts are hungry. Would I be right? That's why you're here. I remember when Pope John Paul II, you wouldn't remember these things, but when John Paul II came back to Poland for the first time, having become Pope, over 1 million people gathered, I think, in Warsaw, and they started a chant saying, "We want God, we want God," and on they went. And it was a very moving moment. And that's why we're here. We may not be chanting it out loud, but we're here because we want God, and God has invited us to come here. And so that's why we're here. So, if you read the piece that is online, you know what it said was that come away and rest a while. And I hope that people can find the time, if they're staying for the full 7 days, to be able to rest and to meet God there. God is found in rest. And he invites us to take what space we can from our busy lives. I remember hearing about a pygmy tribe in the Amazon, and they would go on long journeys, and then every so often they would stop for 3 days in order to allow their souls to catch up. In other words, working your way along through the jungle was a full-time job, and so every so often they took time out in order to allow their souls to catch up. And so we're here, and hopefully people can slow down and allow their souls to catch up. But I was thinking, most of all, was that if I could have got, I'm a Jesuit, by the way. My name is Brian Grogan, and I was thinking I'm a little younger than Pope Francis. But I met him in the 1980s when he came over to learn English, which didn't work out very well. Thank God he did other things better than learning the language. But I thought I would bring him along here, and I'd say, look, here we are. Because what we're doing here is exactly what he wants done. He's talking about synodality, walking together, finding our way along with God together. And what we're doing is just that. We're sharing faith, and the item that has come up most frequently of all the items across the world from Catholics is the desire for adult faith formation. And here we are in the middle of it. We are doing it long before the synod gets underway, as it will in 3 months' time. We are sharing in that adult faith formation movement that needs to to go on in the church. And I'd say Pope Francis would give us a clap on the back for that. We're synodal in that sense that we're quite in line with the synod itself. What we tried to do was to say, okay, people are talking about adult faith formation. What are the most central things in all of that? And after an amount of what we'd call discernment, we said, well, there are 6 things, so we'll have one for each day, or we have 6 days and we'll have one for each of them. And so we're going to be taking the theme of God as Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and that's 3 days, okay, one for each. So tomorrow the theme will be the infinite love of God as Father for us, and so on through the other days. So that's 3, and then the other 3 things were faith, hope, and charity. So by the end of the week, please God, we will have a deeper appreciation of our faith from the point of view of appreciating the Trinity and their working in our lives. And then also how faith, hope, and charity are so important. Struck me the other day, I was reading a novel a while back, and this man who wanted to have 3 sons ended up having 3 daughters. These things happen. So he called the first one Faith, and then he said, well, I've done the next child is to call her Hope, and then eventually got around to charity. So that's how he sorted out his problem as to what faith, hope, and charity were about. We're going to be saying something about these things in different ways. There'll be time for listening, some kind of input, then a time for personal prayer, then a time for sharing with one another, then a time for worship, and so on, and a time for reviewing at the end of the day, what went on in me? Did I grow a certain amount over the time? There's only one command in one way, which is to grow in love. The Eucharistic prayer in the translation previous to the present one had the lovely line, which I've lived out of myself for quite a while, make us grow in love. We're saying to God, God, you've got to do this to make us grow in love. Simply to know the faith is not enough, but to grow in love through knowing the faith is what it's all about. We don't have any high-flown keynote speakers flying in from America or somewhere like that at great cost. We have a group of ordinary people, and I'll be inviting them in a moment to come and introduce themselves very briefly, so that we form a kind of community together and get to know one another a little bit, and then we're sharing our faith in simple ways. But the people that have gathered together, we've spent 6 months planning this, believe it or not. It's amazing how long it can take to plan something and make it very simple. And we said, well, we'll do it ourselves. We will share. It's what you get in St. Peter's letter, give an account of the faith that is in you. Now, when somebody asked you, well, what do you believe about God the Father, or God the Son, or about faith or hope or charity? What would you be able to say? And we had to work this out then, and that's what we've been working on. We form a team then. We work with one another, and we share what we can, and we support one another in what they're trying to do each day and in each different way. So if I could ask the team to step forward and just come up here as if you were doing a prayer of the faithful, and tell us for a moment who you are. Sean, thank you, and on the others. So we have 9 people in all. We were due to have a 10th person, but she has become unwell, and so we're playing with 9 on the team. Sean.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sean O'Rourke. I hail originally from County Offaly. A lot of my life has been spent in education. I was a teacher at secondary school level and a guidance counsellor. And then later, I became involved in pastoral work, especially parish pastoral work. So, through the years, I developed a deep interest in Christian spirituality, especially the spiritual tradition of St. Ignatius of Loyola. And that has been a great enriching experience in my own life. So I'm very happy to be here as part of the team for Knock Jesuit Week.
My name is Colette McCarthy. Like Sean, I'm a retired teacher. I taught religion as one of my subjects for most of my life. I've been very interested in nation spirituality. I find it tremendously helpful in my own life. I'm delighted to be here as part of this team. I'm a single-day woman. I'm from Dublin. I follow some Limerick, so we're delighted today that they won. And looking forward to this retreat. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Stephanie O'Brien, a Loreto sister. I come from Cavan. We didn't ever win hurling, but we did win other things maybe. I spent most of my life in East Africa, but have been back in Ireland now for some years. I have worked since 1980 with the Jesuits in East Africa and now a little bit here. And I have been working with adult faith development for the last about 18 years, with lay people mostly, retreat work, but also praying with scripture, and we build groups and train leaders for praying in the parishes and in the Diocese of Ferns. So I'm very happy to be here, and particularly in building teamwork. So we will pray for each other during the week.
Sure, you're wondering how many more of you are there going to be. My name is Phyllis Brady. I'm from Dublin. I'm a mother, grandmother, and great-great-grandmother. And today is Grandparents' Day, so to all the grandparents, congratulations. And my background is I worked in office work for most of my life, and I was offered the opportunity of a scholarship in 1990 to study theology, because I had been captivated by the whole world of Ignatian spirituality back in the late 80s, early 90s. And it has had a hold of me ever since. And it has helped underpin the hunger that I've often felt in my faith. And I'm very grateful to God. I'm grateful to the Jesuits who provided it, free of charge, I might add. And subsequently, I was given the opportunity among 6 people of a scholarship to study theology. And it just blew my world open. And for the last 30 years, I've been involved here in Knock, and I'm delighted to be here again, amazed that I am here again after 30 years. So I wish you well and God's blessing on the week. And even if you're only here for the day, thank you for coming.
Good evening. I'm Helen Greeley. I'm originally from the West and live in Dublin. I'm a Senecal sister. We were founded to give the exercise of St. Ignatius. Maybe don't tell the Jesuits. Anyway, I've been involved in retreats and spiritual direction most of my life. And here in Ireland, some of you may remember the retreat house that we had in Killiney, and in England and in West Africa. And I'm delighted to be on the team of the Jesuit Week here in Knock.
Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sister Rosemary. I'm a Loretto sister. I'm very happy to be a Loretto sister. I've had a great life, here, there, and everywhere. I kind of tend to footer around. I've loved working in Knock and the prayer guidance over the year, and it's just great being here for this week. I hope it'll be very blessed for all of you. Thank you for coming.
Good evening. I'm Charlie Davey. Like Brian, I'm a Jesuit. I'm from Dublin, but I've worked in different places like Limerick, and Kildare and Galway. And in 3 weeks' time I'll be in the Lebanon, as that's my mission at the moment. I came to Knock for the first time with my parents in 1982. And I think it's a great place, and I think even when some of us are getting older, but we still have a lot to learn, and especially learning to work as a team. So I'm glad to be here.
Thanks.
Evening, everyone. My name is John Farrelly, and I'm from Clane in County Kildare. I'm a father, a grandfather, and I'm very happy to know that it's Grandparents' Day today. I'm a very happy grandfather. I'm one of the prayer guide team here for a number of years now, and I'm also a spiritual director. And my day-to-day work as a special needs assistant in a primary school, and I'm looking forward next year, in September, to be working with junior and senior infants. I'm sure they're going to be looking at this owl lad that's going to be working with them and thinking, what's going on? But yeah, I'm very happy to be here. I hope you have a wonderful week, nourishing your soul, and I wish you very well on it. And I'm really an honour and privilege to be with you. Take care.
Thanks very much, John. Thank you all. And the one person that is missing. Oh, yeah. The one person who's missing is Patricia McCarthy, whom many people would know has been the coordinator of the prayer guides for. Patricia was the centre of the whole thing, and unfortunately she's indisposed, and so we're managing without her, and you may pray that we can fill the gaps that she leaves. Just a word about why is it called Jesuit Week? Well, in the year 2014, which is 9 years ago, that's it, 9 years ago, a group of Jesuits came down here, and they said they were sent down to do whatever they thought best. There were 5 or 6 of them. They were from different parts of Northern Europe, and other people went to Limerick, others went up the north, etc., etc. Anyway, the group that was here worked with people in regard to Ignatian spirituality, and found that people were very enthusiastic about that. And when that ended, it took 2.5 weeks. They went off, and then it was agreed we should try to do this again. And so every year, in the week coming up to the Feast of St. Ignatius on the 31st July, we've been having a Jesuit week. okay, on the understanding that people are happy to learn from St. Ignatius. It would be called Ignatian spirituality. Jesuit spirituality and Ignatian spirituality are the same thing, except when you focus it in on a group of people who are going to be living and working and serving and missioning together, it's called Jesuit. When it's people gathered or not gathered in their millions right across the world, as is at the moment, you've got Ignatian spirituality. And if you're looking for websites and so on, I think there's 810 or something like that. So don't be short. Okay? We had intended to have a flyer for you, but it's locked up somewhere. That's what tends to happen when you're starting something on a Sunday. So you'll have it tomorrow morning. But I just was going to go through it and give you an idea of what the program or the menu is for the week. And it's one of these free and open events. You can come and go, stay as long as you like, go away for a day, all the rest of it, whatever suits, and whatever way God is drawing you. It needs to be very big on fact. How is God drawing you today? God is very intimate in our lives. And just to start out, tonight at 20 to 9 in the Apparition Chapel, there will be the usual evening prayer that goes on right through the year, as far as I know. And Phyllis, who's just been introduced to you, will be leading that. So you might like to go to that afterwards. And just while I'm talking about that evening kind of prayer, we'll be running that evening prayer right through the week at 20 to 9 till 9 o'clock. We'll also be running a slightly different version of the same thing. It'll last a little bit longer, from 8:30 until 9 o'clock. And it'll be for anyone who likes to get together and share a bit on what's been going on for them during the day. People like Ignatius are very strong in the fact that God is always working in our lives. And so the more we can come to notice that by listening to one another, by asking one another questions, by sharing and that kind of thing, the richer life becomes day by day. Thomas Merton would say, I remember reading it for the first time and I sort of nearly fell off my chair. He says, every moment and every event in every person's life plants seeds of spiritual vitality in their souls. I'd never thought about life with God as that. Every moment and every event in every person's life, God is working away, planting seeds of spiritual vitality, or bringing us to life. I've come that they may have life and have it to the full. And that's not just for when we die, that's for every day. And it's been going on in some of us for quite a long time, as I can see from the grey hairs that are around. But we don't notice that, and so we'd come to notice it. Anyway, on a practical level, everything will be in the, more or less, in the Taizé room in the prayer centre, unless directed otherwise. The Eucharist will be in the Basilica. The talks are being live streamed as at the moment. Just to mention, one way of praying is to admire nature, to give thanks for nature, to just say wow to the beauty of a bird or a leaf or whatever else. And so if you walk out in the grounds, realize that you're opening the book of nature. The early church called nature the first book of God's revelation. A later book was the Bible, but nature was always there long before that. And so everything that you see in nature is saying something about God. It isn't just a leaf or just a broken bird's egg or just an ant wandering along doing its anti thing. I was reading a book on ants recently, and I was told that there are so many ants in the world that if you lined them up one behind the other, they would stretch, I think, to the moon 344 times and back. There are so many ants in the world, but that's irrelevant, except that it's a very beautiful thing, and you can find the mystery of God in an ant or whatever else. Prayer guidance is available in spiritual direction, and there'll be a possibility of signing up for a session of spiritual guidance if you want in the prayer room, and where to go and so on. So we like to think you'll take time for attending whatever's going on, but also time for yourself. You know, this is they speak about a spiritual vacation, or a vacation with the Lord. Met somebody the day before yesterday, and they were heading off to Greece on holiday, if you don't mind. Well, it's not going to be much of a holiday for them, but the problem was the family of 5, they'd booked, they'd paid everything, there was going to be no return, and so they were going to go. And they would, their plan was to get up early in the morning until 11 o'clock and then hibernate, or whatever the word would be, stay inside until 5 in the evening and then come out again like ants and get down to the beaches, etc. Well, here you've all the time that's given you to meet God. But you can rest, you can read, you can journal, you can just sniff the flowers and admire. One other thing is that if people like to write a petition, it can be left at the Basilica, if you know where the place is, and we will pray for the petitioners. We won't be reading the petitions, we'll be praying for you in regard to the petition that you are making, okay? Just a word then more about what will be going on in the morning. There'll be prayer at 9:40, a simple prayer, and you're welcome to that. And then at 10 o'clock there'll be the presentation of the theme of the day. So tomorrow it'll be on God the Father, and the next day it'll be on God the Son, and on it goes, okay? That'll be about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Then there'll be time for private prayer, and then a break and so on. And then at 11:15 to 11:45 before the Mass, there'll be the option of just taking silent space, just going out and pondering on what has come to you, something you've noticed. A phrase might be uttered, and it's the one that God means for you. Because God, as somebody said, doesn't work by cut and paste, but by giving each person exactly what would be right for them at any given stage. So if something I've said or somebody else says or something that you read just stirs you, you stay with that and get nourished by it. That's how God works. At 12 o'clock there's the Eucharist, and after it the celebrant, that will be Father Charlie Davy, will just say at most two sentences on the readings, and then we'll have somebody who will give a brief reflection of 5 minutes or so on what Mass means to them, what the Eucharist means to them. Why are we doing that? Because it was pointed out that in 2021, as you know, this shrine became a Eucharistic as well as a Marian shrine. But it was found last year and early this year that people were saying, I don't know what that means, you know, what does it mean to say it's a Eucharistic shrine? What does the Eucharist mean, you know? And so we said, well, we'll do our bit to witness to what the Eucharist means. And you could think of yourself, if you were hauled out here and I offered you 1,000, would you be able to stand for 2 minutes and say something of what the Eucharist means to you? You would if you had time to think it out, but you'd be helped anyway by people who are modelling it a certain amount. And they'll be people largely from around the shrine who will be speaking for us. Okay? And then lunchtime, a free afternoon until 4 o'clock if you wish, from 4 to 4:45. There'll be a little input on the Ignatian aspect or the Ignatian lens on the particular topic. So what does Ignatius have to say about God as Father, then about God as Son, God as Holy Spirit, faith and hope and charity, etc. Just to sharpen up our appreciation of what's going on. So that would be a 10-minute thing, live streamed, and then we'd have time for prayer, and then for a little bit of sharing, and then for discussion and so on. The idea being all the time that you try to integrate what you're hearing into your own life so that you become richer for the doing. And then there's free space until, as we said, the evening time and the evening prayer at 20 to 9 in the Apparition Chapel or 8:30 in the Taizé room. So there's also going to be a concert now. With fair play to us, we didn't put it on, so it's probably quite good. It's called Healing Voices, and Una Nolan, who is the musical director here, is putting it together, and it'll be in the Reconciliation Chapel, but you'll be advised about that from 8 o'clock to 9 for those who wish. So I wish you well. It's just 8 o'clock, as it should be, and anything practical anyone wanted to ask before, just say a silent prayer to finish. You're happy? Other people will probably join us in the morning, so tomorrow morning at 20 to 10 when we gather for the prayer, I'll just say a few of the things that I've said before. And then there's that large population of people who watch events from Knock online and who are so welcome. Spiritual direction. Yes, I think I said that spiritual direction and prayer guidance will be available and you can sign up for them. We'll explain more about that in the morning. There are 2 dogs coming in, but why not? Dogs have souls. There'll be dogs in the world to come. Take my word for it. Nice dogs. Okay, so let's just pray for a moment. I'm going to take a prayer which was attributed to a Jesuit general who came on after Vatican II, Pedro Arrupe, and this prayer was attributed to him and achieved worldwide appreciation. Then it was discovered it wasn't by him at all, it was by another Jesuit. Who cares? The prayer is very good and it expresses our desire. It's all about falling in love. So you've got to go back to your experiences of falling in love and saying, oh, so that's what it's going to be like in regard to God. So he says, nothing is more practical than finding God. That is, than falling in love in an absolute final way. And then he gives the reasons. What you are in love with, what seizes your imagination, will affect everything. It'll decide what will get you out of bed in the mornings, what you'll do with your evenings, how you'll spend your weekends, what you read, who you know, what breaks your heart, and what amazes you with love and gratitude. He says, fall in love, stay in love, and it will decide everything. So thanks for listening and being here. Thanks again to the people who are online, and all of you will be kept in our careful prayers during the week. And we'll see you, please God, then at 20 to 10, if you can make it in the morning, over in the prayer center. Okay? But for those who would like to get involved in the evening prayer this evening. It's 20 minutes to 9 in the Apparition Chapel. Thanks very much, everyone.